Hey, it's Matt Pinfield, and it's KLOS New and Approved. So excited to have a guitar legend, Zakk Wylde, and also a fellow Jersey guy who's out here in California now as well. Great new Black Label Society record coming out, the 11th album, Doom Crew Incorporated, and I'm really excited about it. Hey, Zakk, good to see you, man. How you doing?
Well, Matt, what is shaking? Just sitting here jamming out over here, getting ready, going over songs, getting ready. I got Paul Abdul coming out. We're getting ready for the dance steps, and yeah, a completely whole new show that we're gonna get ready to be rolling with the Obituary fellas and the Prom guys with Tommy and company. So yeah,
Yeah.
looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you and Tommy on the road again and all those guys.
Yeah, without a doubt, man.
Totally guys I've always loved. Hey, Zakk, so we got to talk about, you growing up, being born in Bayonne, but, you grew up in Jackson, New Jersey, which is interesting because, what you have in common is my oldest daughter, Jessica, she grew up in Jackson, went to the same high school you did, which
Wow.
which is, it's,
God bless her. She made it out alive.
yeah, she did, absolutely. She's out here with me now. But it's incredible. Zakk, tell me about growing up on the East Coast where you did, about 8 years old when you decided that, you realized you wanted to play guitar around 8. What were those first records that you were hearing? Were you playing along with things?
I played at 8, but I didn't stick with it. I mean, I didn't put the time in or the effort. I mean, it was just like no, forget 8 years old. I mean, then I was more into playing little league and hanging out with my friends and going swimming and doing all that kind of stuff. So no, there was no practicing going on. It wasn't until I was like 14. I mean, the goal was to be, I was weighing the Randy White, Jack Lambert, and Dick Butkus, and everybody like that. So, where my head?
You're a big football fan, baseball,
Yeah.
football.
But no, it's just there we go. But no, I just wanted to do football, But the whole thing is I couldn't put weight on. It was before I found prenatal vitamins and female growth hormone. So the coaches, I was over the coach's house, and he was gonna, talking to me about sticking with football, and so I couldn't put the weight on to be a middle linebacker. So the whole thing is, there was a Les Paul sitting over in the house, and then my mother was like, "Oh, Mr. Wright, do you play guitar?" He goes, "Well, no, I only noodle on some country songs, but my son Leroy is the one that plays guitar." So Leroy came out and he was playing Hendrix songs, Zeppelin, Sabbath. And at the time, it was just when Ozzy started with St. Rhodes over there, and they started playing Crazy Train. And I was to physically see somebody doing it, it just blew my mind. And just to look at the fretboard and everything, I just go, that looks like the most interesting thing in the world. So I took lessons from Leroy for about a year and a half, but that's right there and then is when I dedicated myself, and I knew that's what I wanted to do was, I'm just going to dedicate my life to playing music. So it was right there and then probably when I was about 14.
Yeah, so 14, you'd come home from school at Jackson, in your Jackson Middle School and high school. They called junior high back then, of course. And you'd play every day, right? For like, you would just riff for ages.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's just no, but the whole thing, just learning as much as I could, and obviously trying to technically get it together. I mean, I remember, the first one of the big breakthroughs was like Back in Black, to be able to, when I could actually play that lick. That was such a major breakthrough that I could do it. But then, Leroy showed me theory and, like why that lick works and how everything connects together so you can speak the language. But no, I love the whole process of it. So I still do.
That's
But that's, when I was 14 is when that's when I had, a focus and a goal and a direction of what I wanted to do.
How young were you when you started trying to play with bands and put bands together? Were you finding like-minded people who loved rock and metal that were in your area?
Just a matter of hanging out with our friends. I still keep in touch with them. My buddy Tommy Carrick and my buddy John Kern. We had a band together, and they play in what's it, Shorty Long Rocks and the Horns.
Yeah,
they actually play in the band. So he still plays along the Jersey Shore and everything like that. So me and Tommy, and John, and my buddy Rich, we'd be playing keg parties and everything like that. I'm like literally playing people's kitchens with the amp set up with our little light show that we made. It's just, if anyone touched this light show, they'd be electrocuted instantly. But yeah, that's how, pretty much like everybody else, you start playing with your buddies, you start doing cover songs. And I was just laughing with like Zakk Sabbath. We were playing War Pigs then when I was 15, 16 years old. And now I'm 54 years old. I'm in a Black Sabbath cover band.
Yeah.
And we're still playing keg parties, except there's a couple more people.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, nothing.
A lot more people, which is cool. You know what I mean? I think it's great. Hey, so you know when you started when Pride and Glory, when your first band, when you did the first album, and you got to that point where you were in a band that was going to get signed, what was your feeling about that and the music business at that period of time, Zakk? Were you like, because you did the one album, there were some cool songs on there. Even the demo, one of those demos ended up later on. Mother Mary's great song. I always liked that when it appeared on the first record. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was just a demo. Yeah, and then it ended up being a Black Label song down the line.
Yeah,
but yeah, but the Mother Mary thing, and then I had a great time. Me, James, and Brian had an awesome time making that record. You know, we were up in Seattle. Rick Parrisher did it, and Rick was a buddy of ours. So, no, I have nothing but great memories of that. And then the tours that we did on it, and then we did the Pride and Glory thing, and then after that, went back with Oz, and we were working on Osmosis. And then after we did Osmosis, I remember writing all these mellow songs because after we got done tracking, I'd go over to Brews in New York City where we were tracking, and the jukebox that they had in there was like old Stones, Bob Seger, Neil Young, Allman Brothers, I mean, just Eagles, everything like that. So I'd listen to that stuff, and then I'd go back over to my hotel room, and I had an acoustic with me, and I'd end up writing all these songs. So, and that eventually became the Book of Shadows record. Yeah. And then after I got done with that, it was just kind of like, I'm not ready to be James Taylor and be singer-songwriter guy yet, because I still like playing the heavy stuff. So that's pretty much when Black Label was born, because I wasn't playing with Oz, and I was playing with GNR for a bit, with the guys, because I'm friends with them. And so we were kind of noodling. They were talking about another guitar player, so I was playing with the fellas, just because we were friends. So, but nothing was happening there. So I was just like, man, I have such an outstanding beer tab with Pride and Glory. Tell us, I gotta pay this beer tab off. So I gotta do something and put a band together. So that's pretty much how Black Label was born, and here we are 22 years later talking about it.
And 11 albums, that's great. I think about it. And it's cool that you did get around to doing Book of Shadows too, though. I'm glad that you did that, you know what I mean? And
yeah, no, I mean, I think I'm probably always going to do them just because it's, my love for the mellow stuff. I mean, as much as I love, my love for, when Sabbath is playing all that, Symptom of the Universe, I love it when they do Changes, or I love when Zeppelin does Black Dog. I love it when they do Going to California. So, yeah. I just love the mellow stuff, and I love the heavy stuff too.
Can we talk about how great Symptom of the Universe is? That's always, to me, one of the most overlooked, greatest Sabbath songs on Sabotage.
I mean, me and JD always talk about, just aside of how great the music is, the fact that the melody line that Ozzy sang over that thing is just like mind-blowing. Yeah. So it's just, the combination of the whole thing. Bill's drumming, Geezer's bass playing, the lyrics, the Ozzy singing, the Tony's riffs, it's lights out.
Yeah, that's
why, that's why they're Black Sabbath.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
amazing. Graham Bouban, they sit at the head of the table.
Yeah, it's always been one of my all-time favorite songs. I mean, there's many by them, but man, I always love that. Hey, can we talk about what it was like in those days with you and Lemmy writing the songs, and with Ozzy when you were doing things like for No More Tears and after No Rest for the Wicked album? Tell me about those sessions, because obviously you brought the ability to write heavy songs, but also, as you said, the mellow songs. And then you see Lemmy and a different side of Lemmy from the Motorhead days too. What were those sessions like when you guys were writing? Talk to me a bit about that.
I'll just tell you a story about when we were writing I Don't Want to Change the World, right? So I'm just sitting there noodling in rehearsals, just at Joe's garage, well, Frank Zappa's joint, his rehearsal place. And I'm sitting there going, I'm just jamming, just noodling on this riff, right? And it's just like, and the running joke was we were just saying, I would stop the riff and then go, I live at home with my parents, I don't have a job, and I've got gonorrhea. And so it's like, this is how you're never going to get a date, with a girl. And so like I would do the riff again, and then like, Mike Inez would say something, like we were all just talking about like, I've got syphilis, I've got 3 girlfriends, and I got whatever, but once again, I don't have any money, so it was like how not to get a date. And then Ozzy walks in the room, he goes, what was that? And I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, that riff you were playing. And I go, it's a joke, Oz. And he goes, remember that riff? We're going to use that riff. And then all I know is, next thing you know, the song wins a Grammy.
Which is amazing.
So the secret to all this, make sure you take, when you go to Vegas, bring Ozzy with you.
That's great. That's such a great story, man. I love it. You know what? I just reminded me, Zakk. Not off subject, but it's actually true. I remember hanging out and coming and watching you guys rehearse at Swing House. Remember when you were at Swing House for a little while?
Now where was that?
Was that
where was Swing House?
Was Swing House? It was one of the LA rehearsal spaces. Maybe I'm confusing it with the Joe's Garage place with Zappa's
Joe's
place.
Garage or the Alley. Maybe it was the Alley.
It might have been the Alley. And I was just in there for a couple of minutes. I just stopped and said hi to you guys when you and Inez were there.
Okay.
Guys.
Very cool. Yeah, the Alley was the other one down. I was the one up on Lancashire Boulevard.
Yeah, that's where it was. So that's where I remember it from now. That's amazing.
So the Alley, we were rehearsing there for a while too. But no, the sessions with that stuff, but it would always be like, we just jam riffs for Ozzy. Oz would be like, Zakk, what do you got? You know what I mean? And so it just like me and Randy be jamming riffs, and then Oz would, it's like, what's that? Keep playing that one. I'll jam on that one. And it worked that way all the way, from Miracle Man on. It was just like, Zakk, what's that thing? Let me. What part do I sing on? It's like, here's the riff. We just sing on this part, Oz. So, that's pretty much how it always went. Mom coming home, I remember jamming in North Hollywood at my apartment. And I had a piano in there, and then we were jamming. We worked out the song on the piano, but it wasn't until we got in the studio that I changed it, put it on an acoustic guitar, but originally it was written. We wrote that song on the piano, though.
So that's
as far as No More Tears goes. That was pretty much actually as you hear it. That was Mikey playing the bass, and then Randy started playing the drums. John Sinclair started doing that keyboard part. And then I had the slide guitar around with me because I love the Allmans and I love Skinner and everything like that. And when I went, I was just kind of playing like a Freebird type thing. Now, down. It was like now, well, and then that was, we ended up putting that on, and then I stopped playing, and then Mike was still playing the bass and Randy's playing. I was like, Oz, why don't you just sing like. Ozzy's just sitting there, we're jamming down to him. I was like, just sing, and then I'll play a riff, kind of like War Pigs kind of thing. And then Ozzy sang the vocal line that you hear, which he always, very few times Oz would ever sing that very rarely did he ever go back and go, I don't like what I'm singing. Let me come up with something better. Very rarely, because usually he'd always just knock it out of the park. First thing that would inspire him to sing over something, he would just kill it. But and that's the same thing with No More Tears. If I was the first thing he sang over that, and then I dun 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 dun, which I got that riff from the Lord Iommi garage sale. He has all these riffs laying around, and it was just like, what's that riff behind that plate over there? He goes, I wrote that back in 1973. I said, how much for that? He was like, $8. So I just gave him $10. I said, keep it, but but that was the riff we used on that song. So that's pretty much how No More Tears came about.
That's an incredible story. I love that. Now, speaking of things when you do covers, and I know you love a lot of those classic tunes, your cover of "Can't Find My Way Home" was really cool, I thought. And the song's not remain the same. Like I like that. Is that you playing piano on that track?
Yeah, that's me on the piano. I also do dishes and laundry. And I can also make a pretty decent chicken piccata.
I love that. See, you are all around, Zakk. It's genius.
That's why Barb's with me. I'm potty trained as well. So,
yeah, that's always a good thing, right? It's amazing. Now let's talk about "Set You Free," this new single, man. This is a taste of what we're gonna get on the new album, Doom Crew Incorporated. Talk to me about this song, right in this tune.
Well, the video, I don't know if you've seen that yet, but that's basically a reenactment of my high school prom at Jackson Memorial High School in New Jersey, where your daughter went to school.
Yeah.
So, but that was what my prom happened, and it was the bath salts and the ripping off of the guy's arms and beating him profusely with it. That actually happened at my high school, and I think we captured the whole moment perfectly.
It's an amazing video. It's definitely.
I cried the first time, and then I saw the video and I cried again.
Yeah, it's amazing. "Set You Free," really cool song. Talk to me about Who's playing along? Who's playing with you right now? Who's on the record with you during this?
Well, John DeServio. I mean, Jay Deezus, he's on the bass.
Yes.
Got on the drums, you got the fabulous Moolah.
Yeah.
The Jeff Fab, and then we also have we got Kid Dynamite over there on the guitar. We got Father Dario.
Yeah, great.
So yeah, that's the band right there.
It's killer, man. I'm just so glad you're going to take it on the road again. Now, it was great. The last time I got to see you play live, I don't know if I got to even come back and say hello, but it was a Zakk Sabbath show. It was great. And because was that one of the last times that you were actually playing live out here? Was it a Zakk Sabbath show before the pandemic? Do you remember?
Yeah, I'm not sure what Zakk Sabbath run it was, but
yeah.
I mean, JD did the last run with us. But
yeah.
No, it's always a blast doing the Zakk Sabbath.
It was totally cool.
I mean, every time we do those shows, it just solidifies to me the fact that I mean, in that genre of music that they created, they're the Beatles of it. You know what I mean? It's just the songs, man. Songs.
Which I love. So Zakk, what was the first song that you learned on guitar? Like, I mean, a lot of people talk about 25 or 64 or Smoke on the Water. What was the first one that you?
Well, I mean, 25 or 64. You got
Oh, see, I want to write.
I mean, then obviously.
It's canceling out the sound.
Smoke on the Water, then you got Iron Man.
Hey, Zakk, I've got to ask you a question because we can.
I mean, put it this way: it's usually anything you can play on one string.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the edit. And I mean, I use that same philosophy when we're writing Black Label songs. If you can't play the riff on one or two strings, then that's the whole thing. It's Whole Lot of Love, Smoke on the Water. I mean, any of them. They're all basically on one or two strings.
Right, and that's why they're classic, but they hold up always. I mean, that's the basis of blues and rock.
If you really did, I mean, there's an art to writing those songs. You know what I mean? I mean, there's something to say for simplicity. You know what I mean?
There is. Hey, when you go on the road, I mean, I'm sure you listen. Obviously, I know because I know how you like so many different styles of music in rock and in folky stuff, everything. Is there anything in particular that if you had to hit the road and you're like, hey man, I can only take like 5 or 6 albums with me, what would be on that list? I've always wanted to ask you that.
Well, I mean, it's so funny because somebody asked me like, do you have any guilty pleasures or what? No.
I have no guilty pleasures either.
Why would I be guilty of anything that I'm listening to? I mean, like everything, if I like it, then I like it.
Right.
So, I mean, I listen to everything. I'll listen to, if I'm lifting weights, I'll listen to New Wave Essentials. So that's anything from Flock of Seagulls to The Fix to Madness and Level 42. I'll have that stuff on. Then I can listen to when I'm walking the dogs, I'll put Stoner Essentials on or whatever. And then then I'll listen to, I'll listen to Mahavishnu Orchestra, John McLaughlin, Al Di Meola. I'll listen to Alan Holdsworth. Then I'll listen to, and if I'm sitting at night just noodling, I'll put Joe Pass on or Pat Martino.
Yeah.
Like these amazing jazz greats. I listen to Dixie Dregs. I love Steve Morris. So, Scott Henderson is another amazing player. So, these are guys probably I would have never listened to if I didn't, that realm of music, if I didn't play guitar. But I still listen to all my staples, whether it's Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush, Robin Trower, Zeppelin, Sabbath, Bad Company, Allman Brothers, it's classic rock, you know what I mean? But I listen to everything. If something's good, I'll listen to it. Singer-songwriter, radio.
Yeah.
I listen to that. Find all these amazing artists that I would never have heard of. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's great.
Hey, you know what? I love the fact that you brought up Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush, and Trower, man. Because, there was this song by Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush when I was a kid called A New Rock and Roll that I used to listen to all the time that I loved by him. I mean, there are many. But also, Bridge of Sighs is one of the greatest albums and unsung records that more people should know about from Robin Trower. I mean, that record, that was such a big record for me as a kid.
It's definitely a classic for sure. You know what I mean? And the Frank Marino, I mean, that Mahogany Rush live record.
Yeah.
Is still a classic to this day. I mean, every guitar player I know loves Frank Marino and loves Robin Trower.
Yeah.
They all do.
Yeah, that stuff is it just kills. I mean,
across the board. I've never met a guitar player that is amazing at whatever they do. They're like, oh yeah, I love Robin Trower. I love Frank Marino. I think we all do.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome thing.
Respected throughout the land.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
the Black Widows, you know?
Yeah. And those things are so great. It's incredible. Zakk, so this is cool. So give us a little preview. Tell me more about the next album, because the Doom Crew Incorporated. I'm excited. How many songs are on it, and what can we expect from it?
12 songs, you know, 12 dance routines that are on the record. But no, I mean, you know, people ask me, they're like, well, Zakk, was there anything different about this album than any of the other ones? No. You know, it depends on what side of the bed you wake up that morning and what inspires you or whatever. I mean, usually when I'm working on a record, I'll just write riffs. You know, if I find out, you know, the guys are going to be coming out in a month, I got a month to write a record. I'll just sit out there with a practice amp in my gym, and I just put the reverb on there so it sounds like I'm in Madison Square Garden all by myself. And I just start writing riffs until there's something I'm happy with. You know, or you might hear something that you get inspired by, and then you go, man, it's, you know, and then you start writing it. You know, so yeah, that's how I do it. If I don't come up with anything today, I don't sweat it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll go fishing again, and hopefully I'll catch something. And then, you know, and then the guys, but I mean, with the way we did this album, more so than any of the other records, everything you hear on that record, I tracked before the guys even came out. I just played to a click track. No drums, no bass. Did all the guitars, doubled them. So when the guys came out, everything was ready to go. So all Jeff had to do was just listen to it, play air drums to it, and just go, what, you know, like set you free. Well, what's it? I said, we're all going to come in, you know, like barn burner. Just as soon as we all just come hauling in on one, and then after that, you know, then the pre-chorus. Maybe we'll do a halftime. Then this will be the chorus. Then here's the guitar solo. Then we're done. You know, so Jeff will just listen to the arrangement and then figure out what he wants to play. Goes in there, tracks the drums, gives it 2 or 3 shots, and he's like, I'm done. And that's it.
That's great. It's great that you have everything ready for those guys to go. That's a really cool way to do it. But I mean,
you know, back in the day, we used to like just jam on the songs with Oz back in the day. But I mean, I understand the other side of the coin. If you're going to be spending $3,000 a day in the studio, you know, the game plan is pretty much everyone should know what they're going to be playing when they get in there. So we just get it over with and get out of there. So you don't have to put the mortgage of the house up to, you know, pay for the rest of the record. So
yeah,
I understand the other side of it too. But, you know, like when Sabbath wrote Paranoid, there was no rehearsals. They just wrote it right there.
Yeah. And it was that last addition to the record. I mean, it was like they needed another song, yeah. Right?
Well, like you said, there was no rehearsals. There was no nothing.
Yeah.
And you know, my whole belief is too, if you surround yourself with other great musicians, everybody's speaking the language. So, you know, everybody, you know, if you're on a football team, you tell what routes to run. They already know them.
Yeah.
You know, so no matter what team they were on, if they get traded and you're on your team, everybody knows the language and everybody knows what they're doing. So it's like, can you run this route? And it's like, yeah, no problem. So, you know, same thing with musicians. Either you can play or you can't.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's that.
Yeah. So, I think it's great, Zakk. Zakk, there's a little bit of a sound issue with the guitar that it's canceling out somehow with the sound. So I wanted to do that riff thing with you, but what's happening is when it plays, it's maybe, yeah, see, it's can't. He said it's a Zoom. It's Zoom doing it, which sucks, which I apologize, because I know we wanted to do that riffs thing with you, but it just sounds, maybe if you turn it down just a hair. Let's see if that works. Yeah, see, it's canceling it out. It's really weird. I don't know why. And I apologize for that, Zakk, because I thank you for, we got some of the stuff. Yeah, it just keeps canceling it. It's really weird. It's the Zoom. It's their technology. It's like, that's what the problem is.
Can you hear it or you can't hear it?
We can hear it. It gets louder. It just like cancels it out and it goes dead. Yeah. Yeah, it keeps backing in and out, man. But Zakk, so what I'll do is next time you come through LA, we'll do something here live and hang out. It'll be really cool. All right? But because you're always welcome, man. I'd love to have you on the show. I mean, you know, we've been talking about Christ, when I was at Columbia, I wanted to sign Black Label Society, but then I ended up leaving because they changed regimes. I was talking to your management and like literally was about to sign you. I was about to start talking about signing you, and then They fired the old bosses, so the rest of us went with them. You know, typical fucking record company regime stuff.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Well, you're part of Bill Parcells' crew. You got to go.
Yeah, right.
Parcells is gone. You're part of Parcells' luggage.
Exactly. So that was my deal. So
yeah.
You and I were we were that close. I mean, I was already talking to your management, and then it was like, bang. You know, I was like, oh, fuck. And I apologize, but that was the deal. But you know, you and I was at a cool understanding anyway. I mean, I was always a huge fan of yours, and we got that Jersey thing too going on. You know,
without a doubt, my brother.
You know, which is cool. But Zakk, thanks so much for doing this today. This is gonna be great. This is gonna air, not this week, but 2 weeks, right before. Like the album comes out in November, but this is gonna come on in 2 weeks, just so you know.
All right, great, man.
And the video will come up as well. But just loved having you on, man. It's really great to catch up with you and stuff. And
right back at you, Father Matt.
You know?
Thanks for having me on, my brother.
You got it. Absolutely. And I'll see you soon, Zakk. Thanks again, man. I look forward to the album. All right?
You got it, Father Matt. Take it easy, brother.
You got it. Take care. You got it. Thanks, Zakk. Zakk Wylde and Black Label Society. New album's coming out in November. Doom Crew Incorporated. So excited about that, man. The new single is called Set You Free. You can check out that killer video, too, about the high school. I'm Matt Pinfield. Thanks for watching KLOS New and Approved.